Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Big Loungeabout, technically episode 3. Every time we've done this, it's been slightly different. Today we've got this kind of setup. Hopefully I'm on one side of the screen, Joey's on the other side of the screen. If that's not the case, something fucked up. So, today is our 200th video.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty cool. That's a nice amount of videos. So much so that we often say, oh, we should do this video. Yeah, I think we've already done that video. And we have already done that video or whatever. I'll take these off because I don't fucking need them. Yeah, so today what we are planning on doing is just roughly an hour because one of these cameras only has an hour in it. So we're going to do a bit of a Q&A. We're going to do a bit of a talk about kind of the channel and stuff, because the only time really when we get a chance to talk about the channel itself is in videos like this, because very often it doesn't feel natural to, in the middle of a video, just talk about the channel itself. So we're not gonna do that in videos. We're gonna keep that kind of talk to this kind of video, which is I guess a bit more kind of podcasty-ish, maybe. I don't know, we don't really know what to call this, which is why we called the first one the Big Loungeabout, because that's essentially what this is. We just kind of sit and talk for however long. So, we've got some questions, so we're going to start with the Q&A. We asked you to ask us some questions. Some good questions came through. I'm not going to use all of them. Some make more sense to just answer on the video itself and I'll just comment it to you. Some are requests, so maybe we'll actually do those but not actually just acknowledge them. So, the first one, which is something that will probably spark more of an actual conversation than just the question itself, is do you prefer Gibson or Fender? It's a question that comes up a lot, and it's a weird one to answer because there's no context. Because you specifically, if you had to choose, if you were going to get a free guitar and Fender had contacted you and Gibson had contacted you, but you could only have one, which one would you choose?
I'd probably have a Fender. Okay.
I would also pick a Fender, but that's because I already own a Gibson, and I'd like the variation of having both, because I currently own a Gibson Les Paul Jr. It's the one that I've used on the Let's Write a Song series pretty much exclusively. I think I've used the Strat once, and I'm currently considering getting a a Fender Telecaster. But depending on what project I was working on and depending what type of music we were writing would depend on which guitar I would use. I wouldn't specifically say I will only use Gibson or I will only use Fender, because I would quite happily use either.
I suppose it depends on the circumstances, doesn't it? Like if I was like a guitarist in a band, say I was the only guitarist, I'd probably pick a Gibson due to the fact that Gibsons generally have a bit of a thicker sound and Strats are generally used for lead guitar and stuff. But
not necessarily that Fender only makes Strats, obviously.
No. But if I was a lead guitarist, then I probably would pick a Fender.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not really a fan of Les Pauls anymore, personally.
I'm not overly keen on necessarily the look. I especially don't like the weight. One reason why I do kind of want to transfer over to using a Telecaster is because the necks are a little bit thinner, and from what I've got from experience, they're easier to play. Like I've had a better time playing Strats than I have had playing Les Pauls because of the thicker neck. I'm not a massive fan of thicker necks, and I kind of like the look of the Telecaster.
Funny addition to this comment actually is I actually prefer Squier to Fender, and in that case Epiphone to Gibson.
That's a good point actually, because for those of you who don't know, I used to have guitar lessons. The guitar teacher that I went to had 2 Strats in the room. One was made by Fender, one was made by Squier. He obviously used his Fender because it was his like main guitar that he used, and he had the Squier for students. I preferred playing that student guitar than himself.
I mean, I've never really had the opportunity to play like a $3,000 Gibson or anything, but from the Gibsons that I have played and the Fenders that I have played, I've always preferred the Squier or the Epiphone versions of them.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think actually, I'm not 100% sure if this is still the case, but I believe at one point Epiphone was the bigger company. And I'm not 100%, but I think Epiphone owns Gibson, not the other way around, even though Epiphone make the cheaper versions.
That's strange.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure that's true, but I think that is true. I believe Squire is just a little side thing that Fender does on the side. Yeah, interesting question. I don't know if you wanted that lengthy answer, but it is kind of an interesting thing because a lot of people will say, do you like this or this? It depends. If I'm going to write a twangy country song, 100% Fender. If I'm going to write a beefy hard rock song, Gibson. It all depends on the context and the situation that we're in. The next question is, and I guess we've already kind of answered this before, but it does give a little bit of, I don't know, lyrics or riff first? I guess it's up for interpretation. The words on this question are quite literal, those 4 words, lyrics or riff first. So, because that could be taken as, do you write your song, like the instruments first, then stick lyrics on top, or do you take a set of lyrics and then write songs
I thought it meant like chronologically within the song.
Or like what you're saying, that. Let's answer your question. The chronologically in a song, should you try and put lyrics first or have a riff section before it? Because sorry.
I personally like to put the riff first because it gives a feel of what the song is going to be like before the lyrics come in. Whereas if you put the lyrics first, it kind of throws you into the meat of the song a little bit later on. But I don't know, I've heard songs that come in straight in with the lyrics and I've really liked them, and I've heard songs that come straight in with the riff and I really like that as well. In terms of writing, I usually prefer to do riff first for that reason.
I pretty much agree, like most songs that I like don't just start with lyrics. But I will say, if you are planning on writing songs, especially writing songs for radio, I believe it was someone from the BBC who once said that if your lyrics haven't come in between 4 and 6 seconds, they don't really care. Obviously that's massively flexible and doesn't apply to every single song that gets played on radio, but it's a good idea because a lot of generic listeners, your average Joe listeners, will only care about the melody, the voice, the person who's singing. No one gives a shit who's playing piano on Adele's song. They care about Adele. That kind of thing. So having that main thing come in as early as possible in terms of radio and in terms of the general audience is really important. Having a big riff section, then a chord section, then the vocal comes in, isn't the best way of writing a song if you're writing for pop, if you like. Really, doesn't matter. You'll find your own workflow. If you're asking that because you're just starting out songwriting and you want to kind of know the answer, there is no answer, not really. It's all down to opinion.
But in terms of songwriting, what do you tend to write first?
Almost exclusively instrument, riff, whatever. The lyrics will come almost weeks after, especially with the band. When we write songs with the band, we take an idea, take a drum beat, take a riff that we've written outside of the practice, bring it in, show everyone, and we'll just kind of jam for maybe 5 minutes. Just that one section, but we'll do different variations of the section, and we'll almost structure the jam as a song would be structured. Like Ellis on drums will die down in bits to like maybe some toms, then come in with like a big crash thing while we're still playing that same section, so that we can kind of get a gist of what that section might be like. Then from that we will turn that into, okay, so what one of those sections do we actually want to use for that riff? Take that, write a song flowing from that, make that into a full and proper song, and then weeks later I will write lyrics to go on top of it. That happens to almost every single song that we write. So I don't think I've ever written lyrics first.
No. I suppose it depends on how you write songs, doesn't it? Like, I, again, write the riff and the music of the song before I even attempt to write the lyrics. But sometimes we do kind of have lyrics that we've tried to fit into one song, then we've decided we're crowbarring them in too much, so we pull them away, and then we kind of add the lyrics onto a song musically that we've written. So then in that situation the lyrics do come first, but
yeah,
it's subjective really. It depends on what you feel most comfortable with. Like, I know for a fact that if I tried to write lyrics without a musical bed to write them on, they would probably be not as good as if I did have a riff to write them over.
Yeah. I guess if you've got a very specific thing that you want to write about and you don't want anything to affect the word you want to get out, you could write some lyrics so that they are exactly how you want them in terms of syllables and all that kind of thing. You aren't thinking about the music that it's going with, because then now that you've got this perfect set of lyrics, you can force the music to accompany those lyrics.
Yeah.
Rather than having to change syllables and stuff so that it actually fits with the music.
Sometimes you are held back by vocal melodies.
Yeah.
Like if you've written a section and you need your lyrics to fit over it, you kind of have to create a vocal melody, and if that vocal melody doesn't really fit with the lyrics that you already have, then you're going to have to change one or the other. And usually it will be the lyrics that change.
Yeah, I've had a few times where we've done that with the band, we've written the entire track. Then I've written some lyrics to it and I've been like, okay, that chorus section, can we double it? Because the lyrics that I've written, I haven't got everything out that I need to get out in that thing. I've only, because I'm singing quite slow or whatever, I'm only actually singing 2 lines where I want to be singing 4 lines. Or I'm only singing 4 lines and I want to be singing 8 lines. So can we double it? Like sometimes that happens. If you read the lyrics first, you'd already know. Especially with you, like, because you've got that kind of, that spoken word, almost kind of rap-esque kind of thing. There's going to be kind of flow that you need to do, and the music is going to need to be changed to kind of keep to that, especially if it's in length. I think you probably would be affected with that more than most.
Yeah.
Yeah, so lyrics or riff first. Probably riff. Next is, how do you come up with good band/music project names? And my best answer to this is, you probably have about 50 really shit names. Then you will come up with the good name. There is no way of, I can't come up with any names, what about this? And that's good.
Yeah.
You will go through so many names, like Dogmatic, which was my band. That has gone through quite a few different names. You'll notice that for long-time viewers of this channel, there was like a 2-part video that I did on writing what was at the time my EP, which was going to be called Anti-Stuff. That was the first name to go with this project that is now called Dogmatic. So it went through a lot of names in between, like when you joined and stuff, we were thinking of an actual band name rather than calling it Anti-Stuff and all that kind of thing. So there was a lot of names that we went through.
We came up with a lot of shit names. I know one time we were out in a pub and we came up with a really shit name and we thought, yep, that's his name, and we stupidly stuck with it for about 4 months until we decided.
Can I ask what name that was?
No, you can't. I'm not going to tell you what that was. And eventually we settled on the name that we have now, but it took a hell of a long time. It took probably about 1.5 years from the point of deciding, yeah, let's do a band, to when we came up with the name, it was probably about 1.5 years. It took a long time because we had all these names pinging about and we were like, oh yeah, that's good, and then we sat on it for a few days and we thought, no, that's really shit.
Yeah.
So in terms of the way to think of one, just give it time, really. Eventually the right one will come along.
Yeah, I mean, Dogmatic started as a song name. It still is a song name. That's why we released our first song that we released was a self-titled thing. That wasn't because we wanted to release a self-titled song. That was because the song was already called Dogmatic, and we thought, well, really, when we sent the demo or whatever over to people, which was a file just called Dogmatic, as if to say, oh, this is the band that I've been working on, what's your opinion of it? People would be like, Dogmatic's a cool band name. Yeah, that's actually the song name. And we got that enough times to be like, maybe we should call the band this. So we did, and I think it was a good idea. I think it's somewhat unique. I don't think anyone else. There's a rapper called Dogmatic, but it's not. It's a real word that no one really uses. So I think that's kind of a nice thing, because we didn't make something up, but at the same time, it's not something that people are just going to get confused about. Like,
I suppose it's the same with us. Like, not many people use the word salamander in their day-to-day speak.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't even know what it is, which shocked me because I thought it was kind of.
Well, you like lizards and shit, though, don't you? Yeah. So you're gonna know what a salamander is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of. I think it fits as well.
Yeah, you kind of need a name that the word suits the thing. Like, obviously, I picked salamander because it just sounds slimy and dirty, and that's what you are. That's what we want it to be.
Yeah. in terms of a few tips for if you are struggling to come up with names or anything, a lot of bands will maybe reference things that they like, whether they're referencing films or other bands. Like All Time Low is named after New Found Glory.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that.
There's another band that I believe is named after an All Time Low song. Like there's a three-way kind of...
Oh God, yeah. What is it? I used to know this. Back when we were pop punk kids.
Yeah, I'll let you think of that.
Okay.
So there's a lot of bands that will just go, I like this artist a lot. So they take either a song name or a lyric or anything really from that thing that they like, and provided it sounds cool, they call the band that thing. Apologise, my phone's going off.
I've got a feeling it might be A Story So Far, but I don't quite remember.
It could be The Story So Far, yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to look into it any further.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so in terms of how we come up with names,
give it time.
good luck. Yeah, it's no one finds it easy coming up with names for stuff. So, sorry we can't overly help. Okay, so this was quite an interesting question. So it's what's your take on getting out there into the big business when living in a really ignored country? So this person lives in Costa Rica, and it seems to be that really to make it in their country you have to write a song in Spanish. So I presume, judging by the well-writtenness of this comment, you're an English speaker. Whether you can speak Spanish or not, you haven't said. But that's kind of an interesting thing. Like, if you're part of a country that is not one of the main musical countries, so obviously India's got its own big thing. The West really is just English-speaking music.
Yeah, and you've got all of Europe, haven't you?
If you're not in one of those countries, how do you get into the music biz?
I suppose the best way to start would just be to write music that people in your country like maybe trying to break out of your country and get into the Western world, or the Western world's music scene or whatever isn't really the way to go at first. Like, start writing music that suits the people that you know. Like, when I went to London...
While you're doing all this speech, I'm going to get my drink.
Okay.
Over there somewhere.
I went to London a few months ago with I Set the Sea on Fire, a band that I work with, and we did a thing called a So Far session, where basically you sit in a living room and a few artists come in and do acoustic sets. There were two other artists that played at this thing. One of them was from somewhere in the Dutch Caribbean, I can't really remember where, and the other one was Venezuelan. Both of which you don't really hear anything about the music from their countries, where we're from anyway. But the way that they have kind of made it in their own little way is to write music that people in their country really like. Like the guy who was from the Dutch Caribbean, I know he was one of like the biggest artists on his island or something. Like everyone on his island knew who he was. I know maybe there was only like 50,000 people who live on his island, but they all know and love his music. So maybe just create music that resonates with the people that are in your country, and then when you have become like a recognised artist in your own country, hop to other countries and see what you can do.
Yeah. The thing that I would maybe think about if you are wanting to break out specifically start a career outside of your country is to maybe think about something that makes your country cool or unique or whatever, and kind of embrace that into your branding or character or whatever you want to do as a musician, so that you're bringing a unique thing to the music industry because you're from that place and you've kind of embraced the culture that you're from, and you can kind of bring that culture to people via your music. That's one way of kind of creating your own little market by actually taking something that's true to you and that you're from, and giving it to people who maybe don't know a great deal about that thing. That would also
I suppose like Oriental stuff does that really well, like Japanese music, Korean music.
Yeah.
People over here like it because it is Japanese and Korean.
Yeah, there's a nice allure maybe
because
about
it's
that
a bit
culture.
more mysterious, isn't it? Like I know a lot of people listen to Japanese music and stuff because they don't actually understand what they're saying, so they can kind of project their own meaning onto the songs.
Sometimes it's just refreshing, like,
yeah,
especially in pop music, because I've found that I especially prefer pop music in a language that I don't understand. Probably because pop music tends to be really quite generic in the way that it's written, and the lyrics tend to be quite meaningless or just a bit shit. So if it's in a language that I don't know, I can't judge it on that. I can't judge it on being really generic and shit.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it more. I take it for what I can hear, not what I can understand about it.
Yeah. One of the artists that we saw in London, he split his songs up into, I believe it was Spanish and English, and a bit of Dutch as well.
Yeah.
So like obviously he had different languages throughout his song, which was really quite cool. I mean, it wasn't something that I would personally choose to listen to, but it was like, yeah, I can recognise that as being really good.
Yeah. Okay. Hope that helps. What are the pros and cons of live recording as opposed to multi-track recording? So that would be get the band in a room and multi-track it, but don't specifically record the drums.
Yeah, don't
stop,
overdub.
Then record bass, stop, then record guitar. Record everything at the same time, and that's called live tracking. I think it's provided that you're still doing it to a click, is a better idea than maybe multi-track, because you get there may be in your performances like little imperfections and little things that you do as a band together that when recorded individually you might not do that little thing, but it's because of that little drum fill there that you do this. You kind of delay that little thing, or you've got a little thing that drags behind, but everyone kind of drags behind with it. You will only really get the full effect of that if you all do it together like you would live. And you can really capture that. It's
more authentic, isn't it?
Yeah, again, like what we were saying about actual live sessions themselves, it feels a little bit more real and personal.
Yeah.
You'll also notice that if you do multi-track recordings, like if you sit and then have to record your bit on your own, it's a lot harder. Like, you will fuck up so much more just because all eyes are on you. There's more pressure rather than you're sitting or standing in a room with your band and you're going to play a song. You know how to do that. You've been doing that for ages. So, I'm all for it. I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah. I think if you are wanting a really, really well-produced thing, then maybe it's not the best way to go.
Maybe not, but there are ways around it. Like, you can do it so that you isolate all of the amps, so that you're all wearing headphones. You've got the bassist plugged in, but his wire is going out of the room into a bass amp that's out of the room. Your guitarists are in the room, plugged in, but their wires are going out of the room and into their amps, and then you can play in the room and you can hear everything like you would normally, but all of the mics are isolated from each other, so the quality that you're getting is the same. So there are ways around that. You can really get as perfect as a recording, live tracking, as studio, as multi-tracking, but don't know. I guess it's up to you, whoever's recording.
Yeah, again, what you're most comfortable with.
Yeah. But in terms of if certain people talk shit about it and think it's not as pure a way of recording, like you should all record each thing individually, I couldn't give a toss. There's a lot of stuff like that, like using vocal tuning and overdubbing specific small parts and composing and all that kind of thing. Provided that the end product is better because of it, I couldn't give a toss, really. Did I just skip too many questions? No. The instrument that you would most like to learn outside of the generic drums, bass, guitar?
Either piano or something like a cello, I think. Because they sound fucking awesome. Like when you've got a massive cello and it's just like...
I'd like to have double bass, like plucking it instead of boom.
Yeah.
Transporting it. Like we in college we did a music tech course that's essentially learning how to be an engineer and all that kind of shit. And we had to live record a mini orchestra. It was bigger than a quartet, but it was smaller than an actual
it was about
orchestra.
6 or 8 people, weren't it?
Yeah, and there was a lady who was playing double bass.
Oh my god, yeah.
And it looked so uncomfortable for her to carry it. Like, she'd got this massive, like, chuffing backpack thing that had got this double bass on that was bigger than her. And as much as I like the idea of learning double bass, I don't like the idea of carrying it around.
She looked like she was having fun playing it. I remember how
she was chuffed.
How like high she was when she was doing it. She was like,
yeah, she was loving it.
Yeah.
So maybe double bass, but I've always wanted to kind of learn piano anyway. I mean, I guess I know how to play piano.
Yeah.
I'm just not very good at it. I pretty much know all the notes now. Like, I can quite easily just get to a note on a piano and just know what it is, which I guess is half the problem. In fact, I probably know piano notes better than I know guitar notes, because I know guitar notes, first 12 frets on the top 3 and the lowest 3 strings, but other than that, yeah, no, I've pretty much got no chance. So, I mean, piano's, I guess, a boring answer. So, in terms of an actual interesting answer, maybe trumpet? I'd use trumpet in more songs, I think, than I would. Like, in terms of songs that I already write, like, I could work trumpet into somehow, maybe.
I'd like to learn some foreign instruments as well.
Didgeridoo.
Like, no, I couldn't ever do didgeridoo. I don't have the lungs for it.
See, I do. My lung capacity is amazing. I've like in science in school. We did in fact, you were in my science class. You'll have done it too. You get this like big long tube, like what plastic bags are made out of. Big plastic tube. And the idea is that you're taking as big a breath as you can and then exhale for as long as you can into this tube, and it tells you how big your lung capacity is. My lung capacity was like double everyone else's. Like, everyone was getting, I think, like 3 to 4 litres. I did 6.
I'd like to learn, that weird Asian thing. Like the typical Chinese sounding guitar string instrument. I'd like to learn that. That sounds cool. Or one of the Russian ones.
Can't say I know any Russian instruments.
No, it's like a Russian mandolin thing. It's pretty cool.
Right, okay. I guess Joe's answers are far more interesting than mine. Harp, maybe. I'd be interested in learning harp. It's one of the few instruments that you can play on its own, and it sounds amazing. Like piano and guitar-ish. All other instruments tend to be shit on their own. Harp isn't, so maybe harp. Is it true Lenny went to congratulations on 200 videos. Why does everyone hate Nickelback so much?
Because they're just a bit shit, aren't they, really?
See, I have a theory about this.
Yeah.
I think it's because they've taken the idea of like a rock band, or like ish hard rock band, and made it as commercial as possible. I think it's the same kind of thing as, maybe to a lesser extent, but the same kind of thing as like what 5 Seconds of Summer did. They took the idea of a pop punk band and made it as commercial as possible. And then instantly everyone who's kind of like the pure die-hard fan of that genre hates it, because it's not necessarily authentic or true to the genre. It's kind of too radio friendly.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're from like not central, but like mid USA, then you're not really gonna be able to relate to it, are you? Like, it's all about. It's quite country, to be honest, isn't it? It's it's kind of deep south.
Well, it's like that kind of Kid Rock-esque stuff. Yeah, there's not much good going on with Nickelback. No. I mean, I don't know, there's a few like tracks and riffs and stuff that's like, Joe's thing stopped, Joe's thing started again. Yeah, there's a few interesting things that maybe Nickelback do, but I don't know.
I couldn't name any of them, to be honest.
Maybe people don't like Nickelback just because they are really, really famous and aren't that good.
Yeah. Or maybe it's almost become an inside joke to hate Nickelback. Like, maybe people. Like, I don't really. I don't hate Nickelback. I don't hate Nickelback any more than I hate 9 out of 10 other artists. I just think they're a bit shit, like most artists, in my opinion.
But it's kind of fun to get on the.
Yeah, it is.
It happens a lot with stuff. It's kind of fun to hate things. Like, so when Rebecca Black came out, it was a 14-year-old trying to make music. Of course it was going to be a bit shit, but it was just really fun to hate it, I guess.
Yeah.
So we've only got 2 questions left. This one is, just wondering, what is the best way to choose songs for an EP? I will also add to this, what's the best way to order songs for an EP? Because it's hard.
I would suggest demoing every song you have and just giving them to people and deciding what are the best songs.
Yeah, obviously you can do it live as well. Like, oh, in this set, can you tell us which songs you preferred?
Yeah. It depends on what kind of vibe you want to give off. Like, when you're a starter band, you need to, before you release your first EP, you need to have decided on what route you want to go down. And if you are a starter band, then chances are you've probably got a lot of different songs in a lot of maybe sort of varying styles. So you need to choose, right, we are going down this path and we're going to be really good at it. So you need to kind of choose all your songs that follow that path. It's a product. An EP is a product. You have to think about it as a sellable product. And if your songs don't really correspond to each other, if they're all kind of a bit different styles, then it's not really going to work. They all have to be a similar style and good. They have to be your best songs.
Yeah, it might be kind of interesting. Like, if you do happen to have a lot of songs that are different, maybe slightly different styles or whatever, if you've got enough of each, you could actually do it so that when you do, say, maybe a 3-track EP here, you use the 3 tracks that kind of sound most alike but are kind of different, and then you use the contrasting songs over here in a different EP to do something like that. Or just call them singles.
Yeah.
And do it like that. If you wanted to keep kind of your variation. I don't know if having a massive variation in a band is that useful. I get a lot of bands maybe do it because they'll write a track and it just happens to grow in a different way, and then you just want to keep it because you're happy with the sound, you're happy with the track. But sometimes it is better to be like, maybe that's not us.
A lot of starter bands kind of use that as a good thing as well. Like when they're talking about the band, they're like, oh yeah, we do loads of different styles.
Yeah, it's not actually a good thing.
No, it's not really a good thing.
Because when you think of a band, you think of their style. Like, a lot of people, if you say Green Day, they will specifically think of like the American Idiot style song, and they've got a lot of songs like that. So if your band doesn't have that, if you say your band name and you don't instantly think of one style, that means that you're not all that rememberable because you don't have your own thing yet. I'd say it's much more important to have your thing and do it well, and maybe have each song sound kind of alike, than it is to have a big diverse array of songs.
That's not to say that all your songs should sound the same. Obviously, you need to have variation in your songs, but not variation in your style.
Yeah, that's almost hitting the nail on the head. Yeah, you can have things that fit easily within the same style. So like your kind of surf rock with a little bit of orchestral influence or whatever. There's a lot of different types of songs that you can write while keeping to that kind of sound. But if you just happen to then write a song that's like, oh, that sounds a little bit hard rock, maybe drop that track, maybe don't play that track, because it's not your thing. If you are lucky enough to have your own thing, try to not stray away from it. At least not earlier on in your career, because your thing is going to be what people remember, and it's going to be what people actually want to hear. So, in terms of best way to choose songs, I have always liked the idea of, especially if you want to find out what are your favourite songs within the band, write down all of your songs in a notepad, and then kind of make a table out of it and write each member across the top, and then one by one rate each song out of 10. So, Joe, what's your opinion of track 1? Oh, it's a 7 out of 10. 7. My opinion is it's a 4 out of 10. I don't really like it. 4. And then you do that. Then you can add them all up and you'll have a score for each song. The higher the score, the more liked that song is with the entire band. Generally, a song will massively stick out, and you can be like, that is going to be our lead single. Because it's... You all scored it 10 out of 10.
But maybe the band is not always the best judge of their own songs.
Maybe carry that across to people that you send the demos to, that you say, ask someone to come to a gig, and maybe have them on the phone, score each song one by one, how they like it, and then add that to the table, and the more opinions the better. Because generally if someone is just really doesn't like a song, but everyone else does, the more people that you have, those anomalies will get cancelled out anyway. So actually a lot of people's opinions will actually really help. I guess is that it for that question?
You wanted to say how to order songs.
Order songs. Definitely start with the track that is most your style. Generally, that should be the best song. Those two things, I think, should be almost intertwined, because your best song should be what your style takes influence from, almost. Because if you've written one killer track, maybe influencing everything kind of around how that sounds is a good thing, because you're more likely to write good tracks, because that's your good thing. I would say always open with that, because it's what people listen to first, so that's going to be their first impression, so you can need a good track to do that, especially if it's your first EP or your first single or your first album. And then it's pretty much a free-for-all after that, because it depends on the style of band. For example, we as a band wrote an EP. We aren't going to be releasing it anymore. Some of the songs on it we've completely dropped, but we started out with our best song. Our second track was the most commercial track that we had. The third track was a weird little short track. Fourth track was back to kind of the normal style. Fifth track was our heaviest track. That was a good way to end it. And then we ended the EP with just those 5. That's one way of doing it. There's many, 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 many different ways of ordering songs, depending on what songs you have. If you happen to have like a song that sticks out as being, oh, this is the ballad, or this is the weird track, probably stick it somewhere in the middle or right at the end. Other than that, doesn't really matter, I don't think.
No, I wouldn't say it really matters. Unless obviously you're trying to tell a story with your EP. If your EP is specifically, this EP is about this one thing and we need to tell a story, then yeah, chronologically make your songs flow that way. But no, I don't think it really matters.
I don't.
Provided you open strong.
Yeah. Some people have intro tracks. It works. Don't make it too long. Don't make it too weird. And you should be good to go.
Yeah. I'm kind of a fan of having every track on your EP be a sustainable length. Like you were saying, you had your third track was quite a short song.
Yeah.
I wouldn't personally do that, because that almost seems like a little bit of a cop-out. If it was me doing it, then it's a little bit of a cop-out.
I think we kind of have a story behind that, because it's a track called We're Not Punk, and it's a punk track, and it's talking about how we aren't punk, but it is punk, so it's super quick, so it's over quickly, which I guess is kind of the point. So it's the reason why it's short isn't just because it's a punk track, but it's not a punk track, so it kind of fits the narrative, which I guess is a rare situation, but that's the reasoning behind it. We've never specifically written a short track just for the sake of writing a short track. That had a reason behind it. Okay, is that it for that question?
I believe so.
Cool. And then the last question, which isn't. Have you ever considered doing a solo musical project?
Yes.
Also, yes, my band started as a solo musical project that I wanted to make a live band for, and then we just made that into a proper band and just got rid of the earlier stuff.
I was doing like a weird, like an ambient thing that I was doing a while back.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a few years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was about 2 years ago now, but it wasn't as fulfilling. I don't think, like, you've only got kind of yourself to congratulate about it. Like when you're in a band and another band member writes a really good riff, it's like, yeah, that is a really good riff, well done. I kind of like doing that. I kind of like sharing the praise between people, and if it's just being like, yeah, I've written a fucking mint riff, then it's just like,
and sometimes that you don't get, your thing won't reach its potential because you don't have anyone to back and forth about with it and that kind of thing, and you become quite one-sided and tunnel visioned with the way that you want to do it, and then you don't consider other influences that might actually help.
Band members bring in influences, and if you've only got one influence from one member, then you're just gonna end up being maybe a copy of the things that he or she likes.
Yeah, but yes, we have considered and done solo projects. Neither of us have actually followed through on them to the point where we're actually releasing them. I don't want to talk much about it because it's really early on and I don't know exactly what I want to do with it, but I've always had this idea for a few years of doing like a podcast radio show thing that's fictional, and you kind of create these interesting artists that are obviously just fictional people and characters and stuff that then make almost stereotypically comedic tracks, but it's like you've got, I don't know, for example, a character that's a Jamaican guy that's like super high and just talks so slow in these interviews and stuff, and then you play a track by him and it's like a reggae track that's just like kind of taking the piss out of
like
reggae.
A parody of whatever genre that you're
and then you could
about.
do that, like have like a radio show where you maybe have, I don't know, only maybe 4 tracks in the radio show, maybe make it half an hour long, you've got an interview in there, maybe you cut to a news segment or whatever, and you can just really parody it. And that was an idea I had a while ago, and something just clicked. Was that camera?
This camera hasn't changed.
So what clicked?
Don't know.
So it went beep. Don't know. Okay, let's keep going. So I kind of want to do that. I don't know if I want it to be me doing that, or whether I want to kind of heavily influence or write all the tracks for it and then get different people in to maybe do the characters. Because obviously it can be something that's super edited, and the audio for the half-an-hour show could be recorded over the course of a year with different people in different situations and stuff, because no one would ever know, because it's a radio show and it's fictional and these people don't exist. So really, I don't know what I want to do that, but that's something that's always been in the back of my mind and I'm kind of thinking about, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it. At some point, maybe I'll make it. I guess that's the only thing I would really consider doing now as a solo
I don't
project.
think I'd ever consider doing it again. Unless I was like a fucking amazing piano player. Then maybe, but not any other way.
The only thing other than that I would consider doing as a solo thing would be if I just happen to have some creative spark and be like, I'm going to write a song. Then I'd write a song and then maybe like put it on my YouTube channel or whatever. And like, that's just me with a song that I've written. It wouldn't necessarily be a project or thing. It's just me presenting a song that I've written.
Yeah.
That maybe I'm not going to use for anything else. So why not? Yeah, I guess that's the end of the questions. So it kind of leads us perfectly into kind of want to talk about the future of this channel. Not in a, we're changing everything kind of way. Like the first big loungeabout we did kind of mark the rebrand, the reboot of the Music Lab, because we are technically in version 2 of the Music Lab now.
What would you say?
Well, I kind of dubbed it 2.5 because we changed stuff halfway through. But we've not done a massive step up to what we'd call version 3. Because I guess not many people who will be watching this will have been around when we did that initial reboot. So we kind of started this channel, and most of you will have come from the first video that we made. It was made on kind of a mirrorless camera, so it's kind of like a DSLR but a little bit shitter. Didn't have a proper mic, it was just the in-camera mic, so it was a bit crap quality-ish. I mean, it was alright quality, but not great.
Made it in a fucking field.
Yeah. So we made videos like that for maybe a year and a half-ish. Maybe 2 years. Maybe we made them for 2 years like that. I think we did probably 2 years like that, because the first half a year was not many videos made, and then we started to get a little bit of interest from people, so we're like, okay, maybe we should start doing this. Then we gradually got to the point where we did a video once a week, and it got to the point maybe about 2 years in where we were like, okay, we should probably up our game a little bit. I was interested in filmmaking anyway. As we found out today, I'd made a video for someone at the record label using someone else's camera, so it was at the point where I was like, I kind of want to get my own proper camera. So I got my own proper camera, and we kind of scheduled a reboot of Music Lab around that, around the upping of the quality of the audio, because I got a proper mic, and the video quality. So we kind of wanted to just up our game, change the branding, make it look sexy as possible, and we called that version 2. That is kind of stayed until now. We're still using the same equipment. I think the quality's got a little bit better, mainly just through experience. We're better because we've cut out a lot of the shit that we used to say, and a lot of the messing around that we used to just stick in weird places in the video, mainly because I just organically kept it. We'd just start messing about, so I'd just keep it in. That now just doesn't happen because it's worse content. It's supposed to be educational, so let's keep it educational. Let's take out all the pissy stuff. I say it's kind of 2.5 because we did a bit of a rebrand when we went to 2 videos a week. The style and look changed. It looked a little bit more sleeker than before, and obviously now we make more content than ever. We've got more series than ever because we boast 6 main series, the 3 super main, which is Becoming a Band, Sharpen Your Songwriting, and Let's Write a Song, and then the 3 sub-series, which is the reviews, recording tips, and the industry.
Mm.
So we have more than that because we do the genre handbook. We do some mini series every now and again, and
we do one-off videos, don't we?
Yeah. So that's kind of where we are now. Okay, so I guess in terms of timeline, because I kind of want to get to, in 5 years, what could we make this into? But let's start smaller. What would version 3 be?
Maybe some big-ass fucking cameras. And maybe an improved studio.
I would say that should be the point where we tick over to version 3, is when we actually have a proper location. Because at the moment, we just kind of film wherever we want to, and the style and look of things change.
Yeah, if we had a specific room that was the music lab room, then yeah.
Yeah, like, there's not much that we can talk about this here, but there's potential that we might have a place to record within the next year, maybe. If that happens, then that place could be the place that we record Music Lab every single week. Now we'll be on this camera, which is a little bit worse. I apologise. Version 3 would essentially just be the last step in terms of quality, probably, because you can't get much more professional than a sexier camera than what we already use, and then obviously all the graphics and stuff would be updated for version 3.
Yeah.
At which point I would be quite happy to make everything look super professional wise, like in this video for the Q&A bit, a little white box comes up with the comment in. Like for version 3, we have an actual look that the comments sit in, and it's like a proper graphically designed thing, because that would be what version 3 needed. That would be kind of the final iteration of that style of Music Lab. A while ago, we made a video that was asking whether or not you, the viewers, would be okay with us having other presenters on the Music Lab. Generally, the response to that video was yes, keep what we've got, do the videos that we've got, but maybe have them as extra things. Which made me think, okay, so the logical thing there would be that kind of the end goal with this channel would be to have maybe daily content, 1 video per day, where each day is assigned a different thing. So we could have, for example, the main series, so the 3 main series, maybe they'd end up being more series at the time, but maybe they sit on Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, or Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, if we had to keep weekends. Wednesday is obviously already a day that we do now, so that makes sense. And then maybe Monday is 1 guest presenter that maybe, I don't know. I always like the idea of having a person that kind of talks about equipment and actually how equipment works, like, oh, this is a fuzz pedal, this is how it works, and kind of dissects it and that kind of thing. Talks about guitars, the actual equipment side of music. That could be Monday. Tuesday is someone who's really experienced in tour managing, and they do an entire just series all the time about tours and live performance and that kind of thing. Thursday is anything, we just do a video and it turns up on a Thursday, and then that's the week filled. Maybe like that could definitely be something that we do, provided that we have a bit of a team. Yeah, that would be something that would come when this channel is sustainable enough money wise to pay those people to do the job that they're doing.
Yeah, well, the team thing would come in probably maybe version 4.
Maybe so, yeah. It all depends on, I don't know, for example, we'll get one very large viral video tomorrow and it instantly just takes off. Because if it comes to the point where we are, because if people are making, say, 1 video a week for us, they don't need a full-time wage. It's £30 a video commission, for example, which means that that's a lot more manageable sooner than, for example, paying someone full-time to work for Music Lab would be, because really that's not needed.
No.
Because unless we were churning out 2 videos a day and we'd need 1 editor, for example, that's like the only time when we really need someone that thing. So it's a lot more manageable. I really like the idea of having Music Lab. This is way far down the line. This is years and years and years down the line. But I really like the idea of having Music Lab as a... There's no way of saying this without it sounding a bit kind of corporate. But like, I like the idea of having it as kind of like a really big kind of entity, if you like a big establishment, corporation kind of thing that has a lot of stuff going on. So maybe it's more than one YouTube channel that is comprised of different things, and I don't know exactly what, because obviously it's far too down the line to even maybe consider now, but it keeps to its roots with like what we're doing now, but it has maybe a different section that is just, like we do the reviews. That could spring into its own little thing that's not a part of the Music Lab, that's its own little thing where we just showcase bands, like So Far Sessions or whatever, and we have our own studio or whatever, and we bring bands in and we do a Music Lab session. I need to stop hitting that. We do a Music Lab session with them, and it goes on its own little Music Lab sessions page. Or we expand it out so that we're not just the Music Lab, we are the Film Lab and the Game Lab, and we have educational videos on many different things that all sit on their own little channels, but it's all under the umbrella of us. That I think would be really, really cool. Maybe in 5 to 10 years, that may become a thing. That's just something that I've always kind of wanted to talk about in a video, especially like for you dedicated viewers that are still watching this video, because that's an idea that I've had for where the Music Lab could go in the distant future. Where do you think the Music Lab could go in the distant future? Because there's a lot of possibilities. What do you think? What would be your ideal if for example this channel became self-sustaining money wise, or some billionaire came to us and went, I'm going to give you £5 million for the Music Lab, what are you going to do?
I think the thing that I would like to do is do different channels about different things, like you said, the Film Lab, the Game Lab, because we do other things other than music. Like, we know how to do other things. Maybe not as much.
Yeah, well, but it's not if we did make those other channels, it's not that we had to take a lead on those channels.
No,
Say, like, for the Film Lab, I've got a bit of experience in really, at the moment, just making YouTube videos and making music videos. So I could do a few videos on specifically YouTube videos or specifically music videos. But there's someone on that channel that's running it day to day.
Who has much more experience than you.
And that would totally work, because then I can obviously focus more on the Music Lab, which is where we started. So we're keeping to our roots we're still making the same shit videos that we've always made. And the branch off thing is someone else's little baby. It's their thing. Especially in terms of like the Game Lab, because there's a lot of stuff that can be done in terms of building games. Because there's 2D games and 3D games and different programs that you use, and whether you code it or you use like a program like that I started using where it's a bit more baby's first game kind of thing, and having tutorials and stuff on that would be really useful, all from one specific channel. Because if you look for tutorials on YouTube for building games, there's a few channels that have got some really good stuff, but they don't have much stuff. And there's a load of channels that exist and they've done a few game tutorials, but the rest of their stuff is just vlogs or other shit about games. There isn't one channel that has got a load of videos on it that is dedicated to teaching people how to build games. Not really. So having that would be a cool idea. Do the Music Lab, take that formula and turn it into turn the subject matter into games. Because like I like what we've got different series, and we've got kind of different tropes that kind of show up in those series, like things to try, things to avoid that only shows up in sharpening your songwriting. We've got I don't know, we did break this the other day, but we only really show up in videos together if it's something that's more of a discussion based video. If it's something where we are just talking about something and we already have the advice written down, we don't do the video together, because it's much more direct to just talk to you rather than talk to each other.
What was the one we broke that on?
It was the other week. We did a video on live sessions. It was last Saturday, I believe. We did a video on live sessions, and we kind of sat together. We did kind of discuss it, so I guess that does work. But generally, we kind of kept that for Q&As, these style videos, the reviews, because we can obviously discuss the artist that we've just listened to. Generally, other than that, we will only do to camera. Like, I like the idea of having series that have those specific tropes, and you could carry that over to film. Teaching people how to make films, you can carry that over to teaching people how to make games. There's probably loads of other tutorial based things that we could do other than just music, films and games. But like food would be a really, really cool idea. There is so much potential for where we could take this. And I guess that's why I wanted to kind of have this chat about it, mainly so that we can then go, what do you think? What would you do with this channel? If you had creative control over this channel and a shit ton of money, what would you do with it? Also, if you do happen to have a shit ton of money, we are more than willing to implement whatever you say. I guess that's all I wanted to talk about in terms of that, kind of get those ideas out.
I suppose we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, there is so many different things that could happen and that could influence what it is that we're doing, because like I was saying, that I'm kind of being a bit vague about with us potentially having a location. If that does happen or doesn't happen, that influences when we go up to version 3. And as and when we do go up to version 3, in theory, the content and the quality of content will get a little bit better, even just because it's in a different location and a sexier location. That, in theory, will influence the amount of views and likes that we get, because the better content, the more engagement, in theory. So there is no way of us predicting exactly where this is going to go. So we're just going to wing it, have a see. They're the ideas that we have now. Maybe we'll come back to this at some point in a few years' time, probably, because there's no point coming to this in a few
How many
weeks.
years have we been doing this now?
I think it's coming up to 4. I think, because
It was halfway through college.
the first video was uploaded in November. Oh, Joe's stopped again. The first video was uploaded in November, but it was filmed in summer. We just held on to it a little while. I believe it was November of 2013, which would be in the middle of college. 2013 being 4 years ago this year. So this November, Music Lab will be 4 years old. And thank you very much, everyone who's
we've done pretty well.
not only stuck around for those 4 years, because obviously there's not going to be many of you that have stuck around for that long, but also everyone who's stuck around for this entire video, because not many people, the vast majority of people won't enjoy a video like this. This is more for the hardcore fans or whatever.
Personally, I don't ever watch YouTube videos that are more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, you've got to care about the thing or the people to
The only
watch
YouTube videos that I really watch that are like 10 minutes or more is the video essays about like films and stuff.
Yeah, but because you care about it. If anyone happens to care about Music Lab and you stick around for this long, thank you very, very, very much, because you make it worth doing, I guess. Like,
well, there'd be no point in us doing it if no one learnt anything.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of the hard thing, is you can't really judge how many people have actually learnt something from what we say, because not everyone will actually comment saying, thank you, I learnt a thing. They will learn the thing and then bugger off and do whatever it is that they're doing with their day.
Yeah.
So there might be a lot of people, like the 90,000 people who've watched our first video.
Jesus Christ.
All 90,000
I didn't know that.
Yeah. All 90,000 of those people might have got something from that video. Then again, no one might have learned anything from it. Yeah, we have no idea, and we have no way of knowing. There are some people that say, thank you for this video, we learnt a lot. Thank you for saying that, because it helps us actually know whether or not we're doing a good job. Like, genuinely, people's comments have influenced whether or not we keep a style of video, drop a style of video. and your input helps shape the channel because you're the viewers. This is made really for you. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, don't make it for anyone else. Make it for you." But with education, it's not that easy because
same with music as well. Same with anything. You can't just make things that please yourself.
Yeah, I mean you can, but it might not be as effective. Especially in education, it being effective is the only goal of education.
Yeah,
there is no point in half-hearting education. We, I guess, try and elaborate on the things that we're talking about as much as possible, because if we don't, what's the point in saying it? Which is why we did 10 questions and took like 40 minutes on those questions, because we care about the actual quality of thing that we're saying, because we actually want it to help. So I guess that's it. That's the Big Loungeabout number 3.
2.5.
2.5-ish maybe, but we also did the live stream, which wasn't a big loungeabout.
3 then.
Yeah. Chances are we will do another one of these probably over Christmas, because that's what we tend to do, because we've got more time to do it, and also it's kind of nice to be like, oh, Merry Christmas, here's a long video, because a lot of you are in school or college, you're off, so you've got the time. Why not? We can waste your time for you. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you did make it all the way to the end, sorry that my camera quality got, in theory, much worse about 10 minutes ago. So have a good day, and thank you for sticking with us for 200 videos. That's a lot of videos, and we may make 200 more. We may also just employ other people to do it at some point. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, see you on Wednesday.